Now we move on to Trey Benson from FSU, 6 foot, 216 pounds, a little bit bigger guy, 4.39 40 elite speed. Not as you'll see this for a couple guys. It's interesting. Not as elite, not as elite in the vertical, which you see. I remember Leonard Fournette had like a bad vertical compared to his 40 time. Everything else when he was coming out of high school and college, he was going to be like the next guy, and he's a phenomenal player. But I remember watching and going, his like vertical was like 31 or 32. It just wasn't very impressive, given that like offensive linemen have jumped 33.5 inches, for example. The 1.52 split is pretty good. You're bordering on elite. You got to get under that 1.5, and you're going to get into like rare air. So this guy has home run ability. He's actually a natural downhill runner, and you just have to figure out if he's a scheme fit. So this is the thing that was easier about this tape is there's a lot of pro looks here. So you're going to see the double trap, you're going to see the tackle guard pull, you're going to see the fullback lead, etc. And I think this guy does a really good job of setting up his players for success. Now, clearly, as you get older and better, you do this at a higher level, right? This isn't a walk-in day one thing, but just from a standpoint of understanding the patience that it takes on some of these outside gap plays, really impressed with how he moves. Now, I think we'll see it here. He's going to run a little screen. And this isn't his problem because how you tuck your arm, okay? But right here, let's just get downhill, right? We're trying to run away from guys. You want to see a little more violence. You want to see a pad level issue or a pad level change of kind of hip height and be able to strike and not try to, if you're going to outrun, you got to have that hand out. Again, a lot of this is fumbling around with the ball when you're trying to catch it. But just from a body position standpoint, one thing that did stand out with this guy was despite being a downhill style runner, he doesn't always get behind his pads. Okay, you got three options here. This is kind of what I'm talking about. If I showed this to Deshaun Foster, Stephen Davis, Saman, Najee, they'd go, whoa. You got three options, man. The one in the middle looks pretty good too. Safety's breaking down on you. Like, let's hurt some people. And that's tough. I mean, he just absolutely got dog walked. And it happens to everybody. And it's one instance. But you're not looking like, when I say it happens to everybody, you're not hesitating to get beat. If you get knocked on your ass, that's one thing. If you hesitate, that's another. We want ultra aggressive guys. I thought this is a great job of getting what he could. So we got the corner firing off the slot. So slot comes, he's got to beat the slot right there and just get by. And now you'd love to see him try to make a jump and go outside. The defensive end is kind of held his gap, but just great job of getting past this guy and getting to the hole and then trying to get and push the pile and get what you can. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, but you just like the instincts. Again, just going downhill, trying to get what you can sometimes. And I bring that up, and so you guys are going, why are you showing me like 1 yard gains or whatever? Well, because as an offensive lineman, as a guy who's trying to be part of the offense, if you bring in a guy and it's feast or famine, like it's literally, okay, he's going to get 20 yards or he's going to get -2, you don't really want him in the game because you're going to get -2 a lot more, and you're just setting yourself up for bad situations. Like it doesn't bother anybody to grab 4 yards, 5 yards a pop. Like, we love that as an offense. We love that. Now, if you can take 20 yards a pop because it's out there for the taking, you're playing 5-man boxes or whatnot, that's one thing. But if you're, like Jalen Wright, a little bit different, right? You don't see him. You see him jump cutting and trying to move horizontal, getting tackled. Like, you see this guy getting to the line of scrimmage, keeping his pads downhill, and that's important. Just from what's the next call going to be? It's 2nd and 6. If it's 3rd and 8 or 3rd and 10 now, because I'm going sideways, I got a problem. If it's 3rd and 6, 3rd and 5, that's a very, very manageable 3rd down. So you see here, this looks like a great block between the right guard and the center. Things change faster than National Football League. You got to put your pads down and just go. Right? And so even though that hole doesn't open up like you want, we're seeing what he's seeing. He hits the hole, he gets under his shoulder pads, goes downhill, fights for that yardage. Like to see it. Like to see it. I like Florida State's offense. Side note, just the way they think about blocking. Same thing here. The guard just does a bad job. The one thing you don't like is when you're getting into this moment, he just plays very tall. And it's not like he doesn't get under his pads. His natural running style is high, though. And there's a difference between, again, I use Amon for a reference because of Green Bay. But when Amon was at full speed, he was upright. When Amon wasn't full speed, he was come get some, right? You just saw top of the numbers, shoulder pads, and top of the helmet. And that's the kind of guy, regardless of if you want to change a pace guy or not, you got to have a player that can deliver a blow or just be so elusive he doesn't get touched like, Barry Sanders. Because they're not going to be able to hold up. Like these plays happen in the National Football League all the time where a guy catches a stray right here and just gets whoppled out because he's standing straight up and down. So we got trips right here, like 12 personnel, NFL style play, downhill, like him running behind his pads. You see this, so we got the trap look. This is an interesting play because I had to watch this twice because they got the guard kicking out, and for whatever reason, this defensive end penetrates, but I don't know where the running back's going here. Guard's still got to get over. He can cut inside. I mean, there's a huge lane. He just makes this odd decision because the defensive end went upfield to try to run away from him. Again, that's just coaching. You just get a couple reps of that. It never happens again. But here, to the point, does a great job of being patient, getting downhill. It's one of his best runs of the night. We're seeing a ton of stuff here again as far as his ability to set up blocks. Now watch 84. He times this perfectly and just waits and waits and waits for 84 to make sure that safety's taken care of. Great job. And then just running downhill. Love it. Same kind of idea. Just waiting for his guys, setting up the block. He's able to hit the hole with speed, and he does put his pads down. Look at the power running through. You need this more than anything. Is, hey, can I get downhill and finish? Really, really like a lot of things you see on tape from this guy. Upright running style, but you do see, especially when they get into like the gap stuff, and you start talking about scheme fits now. Okay, so he's hitting a lot of kind of B gapping out, not a lot of downhill. You see a lot of action with pulling guards, 12 personnel with at least one tight end or fullback, whatever you want to call it, kind of coming around and being the lead. So a lot of Shanahan, LaFleur-esque plays that fit into the system that makes sense from a blocking standpoint for the Green Bay Packers. This guy not only has seen a ton of it, but he really sets up players. He sets up his guys for success, and he does play much more upright when there's a guy blocking in front. He plays with much better pad level when guys are in front of him blocking. He's setting up blocks.